Hey, how's it going? Week 13, we're going strong. Well, we would be. We still are, but it is 3 p.m. on a Monday, not a Sunday. And that kind of goes into this late upload, kind of goes into what this week is. But to start off, as I always do, as a reminder for myself, this last week, I didn't do. I did a lot of things out of the ordinary. I did my monthly clean or so, monthly or so ish clean. Deep cleaned my place, sweep the floors, mopped them. I got a new table, so I took apart the old one and rearranged my living room so that I could have a big table for board games in the main section of my living room instead. And that's really cool, and I think that's gonna help me keep it clean because it's not right next to my desk, so I can't just put things on the table and then leave them there for weeks when they shouldn't be there. I'd have to make an effort to go walk over there and do that. So that's really nice. I had a big gaming weekend, which is the big reason why I bought the table, and that went pretty well. And I'm just going to get straight into it. So, in this week, I had a lot of things I needed to do. I needed to work. I had my normal hangouts of playing Lorcana with friends, doing board games on Wednesday, but then I also needed to clean and get the place ready for this weekend because I was also hosting one of my friends. And so I came across this issue of how do I get all of that done when I seemingly don't have the time? And I had to make a lot of choices in on Thursday. I had to call my gaming with friends off early because I needed the extra hour or two to keep cleaning. Thankfully Monday I didn't have D&D, so instead of being busy from 5 p.m. till 2 a.m., I was able to right after work, get some cleaning, get some organizing done, and then I still went out and hung out with some friends, and then I came back and I got to keep going on that cleaning and organizing. And so I got to take a look at this week, and these last 2 weeks especially, without having D&D on Mondays, and see what is it like to spread out my time and plan it out better. And I think that's why I want this to be the week of boundaries. It could be responsibility, it could be discipline, but I think this is a little bit different. Normally, when I hear people talk about boundaries, they talk a lot about it with other people, with family, with friends, with significant others, and sometimes it's a very healthy thing to have and it's an important thing to do. Sometimes I think people use that term and they say I'm setting boundaries as more of an excuse and a scapegoat as to act a certain way or to not commit to a certain amount of things. And it's not my business how people use it unless it's specifically towards me. So at the end of the day, I am indifferent to that, but it has that sort of connotation. However, I'm talking about boundaries with myself and with, I guess, with friends, but more so with how I commit to my relationships with these friends and with what I'm doing. Because there's no expectation for me to hop in the Discord server and play some games with people if they just sent out a message and said, "Hey, who wants to play?" So that's a boundary that I need to set with myself to look at the situation and go, am I pushing something off, like doing laundry or going shopping or eating? And is that a good thing to push it off to play these games or to do something like that? And for a long time, it has been. I've taken every opportunity to hang out with friends and I'd push other things off because I tell myself I'll have time to do it. And I usually do, and I always get it done. But it ends up leaving me with these weeks of, starting Monday morning when I wake up for work, all the way till the next Sunday, I'm fully busy. I don't have a single hour to myself because I have to do work and then my scheduled hangouts and these impromptu things. And then by the end of the week, if I have some time on the weekend, I need to spend it doing chores and going shopping and all of these sorts of things. And so I'm looking at my life, and it started especially last night when I felt like I really missed the gym. I was about 2 years ago or so, I was probably in the best shape of my life because I was going to the gym very consistently, 4 or 5 days a week. I was running, I was lifting weights, I was seeing the progress happen. I had I didn't start off really great, but I had doubled some of the weights I was lifting. I was running a very comfortable 8.5 minute mile. Nothing that's like peak human physical form, but really good for where I am at. And I got busy and started having these excuses to not go, and I eventually canceled my membership. And I think this week I'm going to start it up again because I miss having access to all that, and I miss the personal growth that I was getting. And I looked at my week and I said, well, if I set these boundaries with myself and I was more disciplined, if I said on Wednesdays I play board games from 5 to 8, and then I say no more at 8, or as soon as we finish after that, I have to go. I can have an hour or an hour and a half to work out then. Before my improv classes, if I stop work at 4:30, if I adjust my schedule to do that, I can go to the gym and do an hour and a half there before those classes. On Thursdays, after I finish playing Lorcana, from 7:30 onwards, I can go to the gym, and I can break up these weeks that seemed really busy and put time into something that makes me feel good and that's gonna give me back what I'm missing. I think having these boundaries is with myself and with my decision making is going to be very important. And a lot of this sparks from the idea that the thought I've been having for a while now, but especially over these last 2 weeks, since there's been a bit of a break. I drive more than a state's worth of distance, a full state, to go to D&D on Monday nights. I leave my place at 5. I arrive at the person who's hosting at 8. We call it around 11, and I get home between 1:30 and 2:30, depending on the day, a.m. So I'm out for 9 hours, 8 or 9 hours. At best, it's 5 hours of driving, 3 hours of playing D&D. And I'm looking at that and thinking that that's so much wear and tear on my car, that's so much gas prices, that's so much time. And it doesn't just extend to the Monday. I now need to make sure that I'm getting to sleep early on Sunday, because I need to be up for the full Monday workday and then till 2 a.m. And then because I'm not getting to sleep till 2 a.m. and I still have to work on Tuesday, I get less sleep that night, and I'm either tired all day or I have to take a nap. And as much as I really enjoy these friends and the stuff we've been doing, it seems like I'm coming to a point where I may be able to step out from the table, and I may have to step out. I've been doing it for almost 3 years now, and I'm starting to really feel it weigh on me, that I could reclaim a bunch of that time and potentially do other things. As I mentioned last week, if I had more time, what would I want to do? I want to do more music, and I want to, I want to go to Japan in the next 2 years, 2.5, right? Maybe by summer of 2028. And to do that, I could just go the way I am right now, but I want to push to learn Japanese, because I learned a lot in school, and I've forgotten a lot of it since then. And so I want that to be my language of choice to learn. And being able to reclaim a couple hours here and there and put that into these self-development, growing these skills that I want, I think is something really important. So for the next little bit, I'm going to have to really think about, is this a sustainable way of living? And that if I got new friends, or if I got a partner, or if something happened, I don't have time right now to commit to even one more person in my life, let alone committing to myself. And so I need to start dialing back and figuring out and setting these boundaries to see what is really important and what can I maybe shift or just do a little bit less of to make my life more balanced. So hopefully that's going to work out well, and no matter what, it's going to be tough, and a little bit of it's going to suck, but I think it's going to be worth it in the end, and I'm looking forward to the journey. Thanks for checking out the late post, and I hope everything's going well. Have a great week.